someone says, please sing Cher's Life After Love? No.
Welcome back to Visited by Voices Live. It's been a moment since we've been with you. Hope you all missed us tremendously because we're such incredible performers on such a well-maintained, excellent, and professional show. I'm joined, as always, by Sam.
Hey, Lauren. I appreciate the fact that you put, like, my actual audio of me crying over taxes at the beginning of the intro. Thank you.
Did it fast.
I know. You really nailed it.
Listen, if I've learned anything from watching Steak Shaw's show, you have to record at all times because you never know when you'll need something.
Wow, I really need to be more careful about what I say in the green room.
Once
sure,
again,
you won't use it to blackmail me or anything, right?
Yeah, whatever. Right? It would be black email these days.
Or black instant messaging. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, I guess if you have Twitter on dark mode or something, right?
Can you do that? Is that a thing?
I think so. I think I've seen Chris do it, so I assume so. Mine's always just, just basic layout, so I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
All I know is that Twitter keeps asking me to do more and more different things to log on every day, so I don't know. There's always an extra step. Laundry is saying the opening is scaring my cat. I think I've heard that before. There's something very successful about an opening that scares cats. Mm-hmm. My cats are fine. They saw it being made, so they know it's just fantasy.
Knight was over here earlier, but he decided, oh, no, fuck that.
And I'm going to need you to read that, Sam, from Jay.
New Jersey! I hope I did that right.
It sounded right to me.
Yeah, me too. Who was that, the real Crispin Glover?
I'm doubting it, but are you finally going to tell us you really do like Alien Resurrection?
Yes, today is the day. I do like Alien Resurrection. Oh, wait, that wasn't for me.
Wait until the end of the show. Maybe you'll get a surprise. Or maybe not.
Stick around and find out.
Hey, MJ, how are you?
Hey.
And hello, Hayden. What's up, guy? I think there's a plural missing there, but let's start things off right. With something we haven't done for a while that is always a fan favorite. This week, well, the end of last week, really, I went into Second and Charles and bought one of those $30 blind boxes. It's a box about this big that's just jammed with DVDs and Blu-rays. I got about 4 that I liked out of it, and so it was not a good purchase. But I did manage to get a hold of a copy of a film that's less than great that came with a slipcover.
Uh-oh.
So, Hellraiser Revelations.
Which number is that? That's a gorgeous slipcover, but
it's either 46 or 47. I get confused. It doesn't have Ashley Lawrence in it, but that doesn't mean anything these days.
No.
So let's
oh, goodbye.
Kill some oh my god. It's tough. I can't even rip it.
Use your teeth.
I could. I actually have not seen that film. All I know is it does not have Doug Bradley in it.
Then I'm not really, not invested.
Yeah, so.
One of these days, I would love to do one of those charity live streams where I just make myself watch all the Hellraiser movies and see if I survive.
I was going to do that with Children of the Corn, and then I actually tried to watch those movies, and I decided I wasn't going to do that.
And you're like, those kids with cancer, they don't really need my money. It's fine.
Oh, listen, I think Children of the Corn might be worse than the cancer. Not the first film.
It might give you cancer.
Yeah, that's what did it. Anyway, we also have an unboxing to do, but it's a challenging unboxing. So, friend of the show, Laundry, has arranged for this.
Are we
I don't
sure
know.
there's not a body in there?
Yeah, it's pretty much a casket. I mean, so
At
this
least
is
a child's casket. Man, there's a lot of dead kid jokes up here today.
well, it's that sort of day. So this is from the Wild Bill Company, so it's going to be delicious carbonated caffeine, and that's my knife. This could all end badly. This could end with me losing a limb.
At best.
All right.
It comes with a card. I won't read the other side of the card, but thank you, Laundry. I mean, I did read it. I'm just not going to read it out loud. I guess I should really.
You're just gonna sit there and read it silently. We're all just gonna sit here awkwardly. Damn, it's a lot of soda.
I can't put the paper on the floor, or else the cats will eat it. So this is going to be another mug, which I'm very excited about because I love the mug. This mug is packed better than anything I've ever gotten from Amazon.
What does the mug say?
Ooh.
I think you have to sound it out.
UWU.
Say it like it's spelled.
Help me, people.
Okay, say it after me. Ooh.
Ooh.
Woo.
Ooh.
Yes, he did it! My work here is done.
I'm not sure. That didn't.
Laundry's work.
So it fits on top of the other one.
That's a legit pretty mug, though. It's all shiny metallic red.
So
Can somebody please go, like, after this, somebody needs to go isolate the audio of Lauren going ooh-woo and use it for nefarious purposes?
there is a metal. I think it's metal. It's a straw. Yeah, it's metal. Metal straw, which I can also use to breathe underwater. So that's pretty exciting. Or you see, if Mia Farrow had this at the beginning of The Haunting of Julia, her kid wouldn't have died. Because this would be a perfect tracheotomy, like breathing tube.
A lot of dead kid jokes.
And a card that says, this card entitles the holder to a single day of unlimited refills with any previously purchased Wild Bill's mug or barrel. I'm guessing is there restaurants?
I'm wondering that now, too. Like, where is there a Wild Bill's that you could take advantage of this?
So it looks like there are two. Oh, ow. They're heavier than they look. So there is a mixed lot here with flavors like the orange cream, which was extremely great last time. And actually, I just drank this. This is the Open Trail Ginger Ale today from the first batch. I have just the strawberry cream. No, I have the vanilla cream left from the first batch. But there's also an entire case here of the strawberry cream, which was my favorite up to now. So that is very exciting and very cool. I want to stress that no one really should probably do anything for me because I'm not worth it. But thank you very much, and I do appreciate it. And it will get drank, and the straw will probably save my life eventually.
Just in case you need to give yourself a tracheotomy.
Now that would be a YouTube first.
Can we get that on? Can we get that live? No.
So I will say though, there's a fairly great chance because Kazi the cat, who is right there, was housed on top of the box all morning, and well, actually, the last couple of days, pretty much. So there's a good chance she's going to jump up here and make a cameo appearance. See that? Wild Bills goes to conventions. What kind of conventions?
Oh, first time hearing about it.
And Jay is screaming out that everyone needs to go check out Laundry Art. The official Laundry Arts. I know that there is some incredible artwork that has been available there. I don't know the current status. I know that everything was sold out a while back, so you should definitely check it out. And as stuff comes up,
indeed,
you should definitely check out. So there's a really grim thumbnail to this video, but in reality, this is probably the happiest show we're going to have this year. Not everything in life is wonderful and fun and good, but the good stuff you got to celebrate. And there's really no one besides our audience that I can imagine sharing with this way. And the cat is eating the box.
Of course. Just steals your thunder like that.
Well, this is pretty much the show now.
Yeah.
We'll watch Ozzy take the box apart.
I don't know. I'm kind of okay with it too.
But if you were on Twitter today, you saw the news that I can now announce, which is, well, which looks a lot like that.
Ooh!
Oh, look at that. So, yeah, I can announce formally, because they've done it, that my novel Divide by Zero has been acquired by Fractured Mirror Publications, an incredible press run by some incredible women who I met under some fairly amusing circumstances. We've been dancing for a couple months trying to see if we were the right fit for each other on this project, and I think everything is pointed to absolutely. So it's nice to have a home again. If you've been watching the channel for any kind of time, you probably know that back last year in January, my publisher, which I had a 3-book deal with, went out of business, partially because of COVID, partially because of just the marketplace. So I'd finished Divide by Zero for them, was ready to turn it in a week before, and they went out of business. So the good news is it gave me a year to kind of work on it. Not just finding it a home, but also work on the text itself, make sure it was exactly what I wanted it to be. And by the time I was able to hand it off to Emily and Alex and Allison, it really was a book that was 100% stronger than what I would have been presenting to the previous publisher. So I'm actually very grateful that it's worked out this way. Also, I think it's gonna be in great hands with the ladies. So for today, what I'd like to do is just tell you a little bit about that project, a little bit about the reprints that have come out, and Sam's actually going to lead the show, so I'm actually going to... Bam.
Oh, weird. I'm on the other side now.
Exactly.
The tables have literally turned.
They have. Well, if the cat jumps on this table, it might turn. That might be a whole different problem.
Yeah, so I haven't finished Blue Eel. I'm not going to lie, because I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your ass. But yes. Also, the copy that you sent me, not the fancy new cover. I looked up Blue Eel on Amazon, right? And that particular copy, I saw somebody selling it for $864. What the fuck is that?
That's called a speculator who purchased the book as it was going out of print, figuring that there'd be someone desperate enough to pay those prices. Now that
speculate harder, get those prices up. Blue Eel to the moon.
Well, I do have copies on Etsy that are much, much cheaper if anyone's really interested in that old hardcover.
No. Blue Eel to the moon. Let's get Lauren Coin happening.
Well, either way, I get paid at this point, so we're in good shape. I think sometimes when we talk about small presses, people don't really know, because they have no reason to know what we're really talking about. It's not just the size of the press. There's distribution issues that come with being a small press. Small presses are usually labors of love. A few people tops. Fractured Mirror, of course, having 3 main leads and a couple more people working for the company actually makes it a kind of a personnel-wise a larger small press, even if their footprint as of yet is still building. They've only been in business for less than 2 years, just over a year, I guess, in publishing books. And so I think I've always been a small press guy for a lot of reasons. One of them is simply that the major presses are not taking chances on horror the way that they probably should. Because since the glory days of the late 80s, early 90s, when there was so much coming out making a lot of money, it's been kind of hard to break anyone. And that goes back to the King problem and all that. But so I've always been comfortable working in the small press because I have the freedom to do what I pretty much want. I like telling stories that are a little bit more adventurous than the mainstream would probably allow. Yeah, and so the small press is pretty much where I'm going to be. But that does mean you can't walk into Barnes & Noble and find my book just on the shelf. Because the small presses can't really function in a way that allows for returns usually. And the bookstores will not stock you if they can't return it.
So, I know this one is coming out, and you said fall of 2022, which I'm like, oh my god, that's so far. And I know I'm going to have to wait even longer for the movie adaptation.
I think...
I'm not supposed to say anything.
How many years do you plan on living?
We get enough momentum behind this, we can make it happen. No, but, with fall of 2022, it's like super far away, but are you thinking about doing anything like maybe any cons after the fact once it's published and in its shiny hardcover?
There will be a hardcover and a paperback and an ebook and maybe an audiobook, which I've never had before.
How about a create your own story?
Choose your own adventure of Divide by Zero. I think you need to read Divide by Zero to understand why that just wouldn't work.
I'm sure. No, but on cons, though,
Yeah, I definitely would be open to that. The good thing and the bad thing about having a team is that you do have to, partner with people. That's both the great and the bad, because usually you come out way stronger than just impulsively going, oh, I'm going to fly across the country to, Colorado and do a con, and then you go and do the con and it doesn't work out, and you spend a bunch of money and now you're deflated and don't want to do anything. Whereas very realistically, when you have a team, they can stop and say, hey, this sounds like a better deal and we can support you in this way and that way and that way. So yeah, I'd love to do something. This year, actually, time permitting, because I am starting a new day job, I am doing an event in Pennsylvania around this Halloween. Obviously, this book will not be out, but I will have copies of all the back catalog there. So if you're a Pennsylvania person and in the northeast part of the state, you might want to keep your ears perked up, because you might be able to come out and have me defame the book with a signature.
So when around Halloween? Is it like weekend before?
I think it's 2 weekends before.
Ooh, okay, middle of the month. Very nice, very nice. What is the? Do you know what the name of the con is? Or
it's at a Barnes & Noble.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right
it's an
on.
event. It's a Halloween event at Barnes & Noble. I'm gonna open and drink some black cherry.
Damn straight, you are. Gotta celebrate, man. Also, I want to get into like what exactly. Wow, that's pretty red. Looks like blood.
I also spilled a shitload of it on myself doing this.
So, can we get into a little bit of what Divide by Zero is about? I know we have to wait for the book, but we're curious.
Yeah, no. Divide by Zero is the story of Kelsey Bethel Freeman, who runs a company called Divide by Zero that takes on impossible and usually illegal problems for people, things that normal situations could not get resolved. And she hires people for every job that suit the job in particular that she's been hired to do. The book opens with her already on a job to show you kind of how adaptable she is in the circumstances with her team. And then we go on to the main storyline, which involves a basically a pastor of a megachurch hires her to steal a religious artifact from a cult that's growing.
Is it Hobby Lobby?
It is Hobby Lobby. No, it's not Hobby Lobby.
Sorry.
But the pastor does not even know what the artifact is.
That sounds pretty impossible.
And the cult in question own and run their own town. So she needs to send her team in all individually with herself as new converts to the cult. But something far larger and, dare I say, cosmic is going on that she could not possibly have anticipated. Was that good back cover blurb territory or what?
That's good. Yeah, I can see. I mean, that would have me interested in it. So, do they each specialize in different areas of weird and impossible?
So they're mostly regular criminals,
Okay.
but they all have a certain willingness to go to impossible lengths. So none of them are like there's no magical realism in this book. It's very grounded as far as the people. Certainly the when you get into what the situation is that they walk into, then you have something that is very fantastical. But the people themselves are very normal. So one of the things I'm proud of is that everyone is good at things and everyone's bad at things. So as you go through, you learn kind of the limitations of all characters, including Kelsey Beth, because I didn't want to create a Mary Sue who could just do everything and was wonderful all the time. She's pretty awesome, but that doesn't mean she gets everything right, because she doesn't.
Of course. And I mean, we can only deal with the Mary Sue trope. Do you remember the last successful Mary Sue character? Just in general?
Well, I guess that Star Wars character, it's hard to say that wasn't successful. Money they made. But I mean, even Nancy Drew is really a Mary Sue, right?
Yeah, I could see that.
I just want I'm more interested in damaged people working through their damage, and damaged people by their necessity are not going to be great at everything.
Yeah, and I mean, it's always more relatable that way because we're all fucking damaged. But that's sort of the purpose of life, is to get past your damage and just keep moving forward. It's not a glamorous hero's journey that we all like, but it's not the one that we deserve. It's the one that we need.
Wow.
Yeah. So, were there any
get this woman a Marvel job?
Yeah. That's DC, but I'll take either.
Whatever.
I can write a comic. Sure, I can.
Probably can.
I'm sure you can. You're the writer in the room here.
I can do what I can do.
Were there any characters that you got particularly close to, besides your main?
So I don't. You hear that from writers all the time, right? That, I really love this character when I didn't like having to kill this person off or hurt this person. I don't have these problems. To me, I don't view characters as separate from the story that's being told.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, the great moments are when everything kind of congeals and it all makes sense and the story I wanted to tell gets told. So if something bad has to happen to a character that I've developed over the course of 80,000 words, then to me that's a great moment for that character. That's kind of the point of the character.
Yeah.
So no, I don't get overly. I don't create like character bios and all that nonsense that you hear about, because to me that's just avoiding writing.
You are correct. You are. I mean, I'm only saying that from my personal experience. Back in high school writing shit. Yeah, that's just that is pretty much an excuse to not write. Well, I had another question I completely forgot. Oh, are there any Chuck Norris jokes in this? Because we are dividing by zero here.
There are not. There's no reference to Mr. Norris at all.
What about Dragon Ball Z?
I am completely Dragon Ball Z illiterate, so if I did include one, it would make no sense and would piss off the fan base.
But it's called Divide by Zero. It's DBZ.
Well, do you know what Divide by Zero is?
I mean, it's not defined. We can't really technically divide by zero because it's not defined, but I think we figured kind of ways out to divide by zero.
Well, we have two competing answers for it, but we can't prove either one right.
Okay.
So it's a mathematical problem that kind of proves that mathematics as we think about it is wrong. It works isolated in a controlled environment like our planet. So you can map the seas with math, and it works just fine. Problem is when you go to a area that's not confined, it falls apart. So the idea is, if you divide any number by 0, you can't come up with a satisfactory answer of what that number would be. But most mathematicians and most scientists would come down and say it's either the original number, unchanged, or it's 0. So you either have absolute entropy, or you have just process disintegration. Whereas the idea of actually dividing something by 0 is nonsense. You didn't do anything. And so it's either a death sentence or eternal life, basically, for the entire system of numbers. And we don't have a good answer for the problem to this day because there's a logical contradiction at its core.
That is wild. I love math. It's so weird.
I wish I loved math. I love math concepts. I don't like doing math.
Agree. My brain doesn't work correctly with math. Not but tell me math theories. Yeah, we can get on board with that. Yeah. So how is it going to be? Is like Divide by Zero, does it have like a different tone compared to your previous books? Like, where I am in Blue Eel, like 50 pages in or so, I'm feeling more of just crime thriller with some weird eels, and I'm on board because it's like, ooh, I like my little procedural crime dramas anyway. I'm just soaking in it, and it almost has like a tinge of noir to it too, which is cool.
Well, it's funny because that when it came out, there was a published review in the Winston-Salem newspaper. I have it downstairs. I should have brought it up. That actually referred to it as neo-noir.
I could definitely see that. Like, just.
But to answer the question,
I can't even place my finger on it though. It just has that. That's just the tone. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there for a second.
No, it's cool. Noir is, if you cut it down, it's one of those genres that people have difficulty to define. You know it when you see it, right? But people have. I've always thought of it as a genre that is fixated on decay, moral decay, physical decay. It's a very specific texture, and I enjoy it a lot. Divide by Zero has absolutely no noir in it at all. It's a very different story because it's a wider story. It's a bigger story. Blue Eel. If people don't know, Blue Eel is a mystery about what happened to a young girl, and a man at the end of his life, dying of a condition that is affecting his memory, like Alzheimer's or dementia would. Goes out on one last case. He's a retired cop to figure out what had happened to this girl, and it's really about his journey though, more than about that case.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of parallel framing going on in that novel. I think Blue Eel is, and I'm describing Bleak December, not Blue Eel. Fascinating.
I wasn't going to correct you or anything.
Fascinating that I just did that.
Speaking of dementia,
well, they're both about missing girls, actually.
Okay.
But no, Divide by Zero is nothing like Blue Eel or Bleak December in that respect. They're very different stories. Blue Eel is a story about a man who discovers his daughter went missing in the middle of the night in his house, and he's always been the only suspect to the police. And then a lock of his daughter's hair is found in a child predator's house, and he buys an unlicensed handgun and goes to figure out what happened to his daughter, which sounds very similar to what I just described in Bleak December, but they're not. But no, Divide by Zero has a lot more sense of adventure to it than either of those books. Okay. That said, none of my books are happy.
I mean, nobody would ever accuse you of that.
No, not like that.
That'd be a little insulting. Although I am really enjoying Abriella in Blue Eel. She's very sassy, and I like that.
Oh, you'll yeah, she'll be around. Don't worry.
Ooh, I'm intrigued already. Did any of your characters cross over into other books? I apologize for not being better read about my co-hosts' books.
So they definitely take place in the same quote unquote world, but it's not as if any of them are sequels to each other. I always have this concept that there's some central story that we're not getting. We're getting all the stories that are on the periphery of this main story, and I never want to tell the main story. I want to tell all the stories around the periphery and let the reader kind of develop what that main story would look like if it was told. So even though these are such vastly different stories, there's kind of this hidden center that hopefully every reader can come to a little bit of their own determination about what that is. I think that's fascinating because it makes the reader a participant in the writing. And I just like that idea. I think that where we are as a society, where people are more apt to play video games, or are more apt to, go onto social media, I think you have to involve people more than you ever did before, and this is kind of my way of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like I've been having no attention span whatsoever, and I'm part of the way through on 500 books. I swear, I don't know how Griffin fucking does it. Just plowing through novels every month. I need whatever they are.
I think he'll tell you that his to-be-read pile is still enormous, though.
Yeah, but I think that he's got most of us beat on his read file. All of this stuff that he's read, I'm pretty sure it would make us blush.
I had a period like that, though, when I was reading a lot. I mean, I'm always reading something, but there was a period where I was burning through books.
Yeah, it's just like social media, Twitter especially is terrible if you want to try and develop any sort of attention span.
You know what stops you from reading books too fast?
You're too fast.
When you go from not needing glasses to needing glasses to read, the speed at which you read changes. It just does.
Now, I've spent most of my life in glasses, so I wouldn't know. I read more books when I actually had free time.
Ah.
But that was when I was a wee child. Although there were, there were some times when, I would get really invested in a story and then I'd stay up way too late reading, which is the best. It's like when you're staying up till like 1 or 2 in the morning because you can't put a book down. And it's like, I want to be able to get to that point again, but I'm old and I can't stay awake past 10.
It's funny that, and you'd said, I don't mean to talk out of turn, but you had talked about the fact that once you joined this show, it kind of jump-started your reading again to me.
I have, yeah, 100%.
And I think it's fascinating that as a culture, we've kind of turned our back on reading as a common pastime. But then when people go back into it, you can see them fall down the rabbit hole, whether it's Griffin or it's you. You can see like people realizing what they were missing in storytelling, because novels in particular, short stories as well, but novels in particular are able to just really inundate you in a world and let you seep in it and let you experience things much more directly than films or video games. Or the video games, yes, you go left or right, but then at some point you die and then you start over, right?
Yeah.
So it's a different experience. And I think that once people reignite that love, they discover some great things. We talk about on this show that we always want that new story in horror rather than a retold old story. Anyone want more remakes, right? Well, there's, 140 years of gothic and horror fiction waiting to be explored, and most of them are stories you've never even come close to experiencing before. So I feel like if more people just would bite the bullet,
Yeah. And, I'm really, I don't mind reading on my Kindle. That's most of where all my books are because it's instant gratification. But, it's nice having the physical copy. I don't know if it makes a difference on how you're interpreting the story, whether or not, how it's going to hook you in. I think a lot of that depends on your personality. But it is so nice being invested in something where it's forcing your brain to not be on autopilot and to pay attention. And you've got all of these great images happening in your head. You know, that's the thing. It's like with video games, you can just go on autopilot, and that's fine if you just want to veg out. But for example, and it's interesting because I'm noticing, like with reading Blue Eel, compared to say like when I was reading Evie Knights, The Fourth Whore, I felt like it. You know, the way I interpreted it in my brain was seeing everything in a very stylized, almost anime or manga character design, right, for the characters. But with like Blue Eel, it's more realistic for like it's a little like it's more realistic and a little bit more like it reminds me more of like Law and Order SVU in a lot of cases. So although no lie, like I'm just seeing you as Branson Tarako.
Really?
Yeah, so it's just like I'm imagining you like just grumpily like scanning old newspapers in the newspaper office, and it's very, you know, I'm don't spoil anything for me. I want to be surprised when I get to the rest of Blue Eel.
Well, you will be surprised because it's a pretty wild ride.
Well, I'm enjoying it so far, but yeah, it's like that's what I'm not getting out of. That's what I don't get out of media in general, and it's just like, oh, maybe if you fucking read a book once in a while, you dumb bitch. Sometimes I think we need people to say that.
But we're all guilty of that.
Yes, we totally are, and I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, fucking read a book.
It's just we've lost the value of our storytellers. They now need to work in different forms. Like someone has to interpret their work for you, like making a film. And I think that's kind of sad. It's kind of like an entire generation of musicians growing up who never learned to read sheet music. Now, listen, some great musicians have produced some great music without it. But the further we get away from that, the chances of another Bach, Beethoven, or Franz Liszt is getting further and further away, right? And don't get me wrong, I love my Doors and my Stones and my Who. But there is a difference. And you do want to make sure that you have the ability to eventually get a Moonlight Sonata.
Yeah.
And that's the question. But I'm as guilty as you are. Like, if I have an hour and a half, there's a good chance I'm putting a movie on, right? You can love two things simultaneously. I don't want to talk down movies. It's just I feel like the art of reading and enjoying a book has become more challenged in the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, I kind of feel like we're losing a little bit of that with music, and maybe it's just because I'm not exposed to a lot of good music, but you know, definitely the pandemic hurt a lot of indie artists, at least ones that, you know, didn't have any sort of like major label and they were just pretty much putting out their own stuff, working the bars and the clubs where they can. And you know what, those are some of the best places to discover new artists, and it's like, holy shit, we might have lost like a good chunk of an entire industry right there, and we didn't even know about it. It's like,
I think you're right.
Yeah, you know, because it's like live music is so good. It's like sitting down to read that book and getting engrossed in it.
So, and I'm sorry, this is gonna get real specific to me, but I like the band Evanescence. I'm not a huge fan, but I am a fan, right? But if you've never seen Evanescence, you can't really appreciate it.
Okay.
You can't.
I'll take your word for that, because I mean, they are very epic sounding.
Right. But when you see it done live and you realize what Amy Lee is capable of vocally for real without any trickery, or with minimal trickery, because, you know, there's still some delay and whatever. Oh my God. It does make a difference. It's something we should cherish for what it is in its real primal form. And I think that's true. Our storytellers today, they need a lot more respect. They just do. There's some great people out there. Someone like a Brian Hodge should be a national treasure to everyone. He should be a household name to everyone, the way the great storytellers of other ages got to enjoy. And it's just to me, it's a crime.
Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you though for Divide by Zero?
Divide. So I'm super excited, but you got to keep it in check because again, we are looking at 11 months or so before I'll hold a physical copy of this book, right? But the great thing is, there's enough other things keeping me excited. Working with Emily and Alex and Allison, they have an enthusiasm for the project. They're excited to have it in manuscript form in their hands, and I think they're just as excited to the day they can hold a physical copy. And you know you're in good hands with people when that's the case. It's funny. It's also a great relationship because we can joke about exclamation points. I don't use them. I hate them. But it becomes a running joke between us. I will use them like if I'm sending like a text, a Twitter message to someone or something. But in fiction, I would never use an exclamation point. They only belong in penthouse letters and in greeting cards. That's it.
I constantly am trying to figure out when it's appropriate to use exclamation points. Like, well, I used one here. I have to wait a few sentences.
So, I mean, it depends what you're writing, of course. But to me, there's the old rule of show, don't tell. Well, an exclamation point is telling you what to think. Oh, that character really must have meant that or said it loudly. So it's I just think it's lazy writing, and I don't have a problem with any form of. So here's what I'd say about that. I don't have a problem with adverbs the way Stephen King has a problem with adverbs. He proclaims loudly that they should never be used. They're lazy writing. They can be lazy writing. He's absolutely right. But to say an adverb never makes sense is insane because sometimes the economy of words is worth it.
And I see that motherfucker use an adverb, and then it always bothers me.
Right.
Because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because I think at the end of the day, he would agree with me. But he makes the broad pronouncements, which maybe the media just picks up on the broad pronouncements. Maybe he was being much more full of nuance than he gets credit for on that. I don't know. But exclamation points, I draw a line in the sand. I cannot imagine me ever using one. Ever.
I mean, it makes sense. Your level of enthusiasm is usually like, it's not super high, if you know what I mean. It's nobody. I don't think anybody would ever expect you to use an exclamation point in real life, if that's possible.
Well, when I have characters scream, I always use an M dash at the end of it. That's it, because I feel like that feels more real to screaming to me, because a scream echoes, it's loud, it's bombastic. It doesn't come to a sharp end like an exclamation point does on the page. So I can justify this, I promise.
Well, after the exclamation point, are there any other punctuation marks that really piss you off?
Not that are really commonly used, no. I mean, I use my fair share of semicolons, which some people have a problem with, but I think they have their purpose.
I'm too fucking stupid to use a semicolon, I'm not gonna lie.
I remember the first time an editor told me that, he said, you have a lot of lists in this story. So for this one, I want to just take out the commas and put semicolons, and I'm like, you can do that? And he actually referred me to Strunk and White, and I was like, yeah, you can do it. It's right there.
Holy shit. That's like the first time I learned how to use chopsticks correctly.
Well, hopefully that was with wooden chopsticks, because the metal ones are pains in the asses.
Oh yeah, no, they were wooden. I hate metal chopsticks.
Yeah,
metal chopsticks.
Someone could easily die in my vicinity when I'm trying to use metal chopsticks, because they're everywhere.
Why?
I have trouble holding on, and I'm actually really good with chopsticks, but only the wooden ones.
Yeah, those are the best though.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I have a pair of metal chopsticks, but only because it's like a little Freddy Krueger glove attached to them. But it makes it because of that, they're extremely difficult to use. And it's just like, well, these are cute, but I can't use them. But whatever. Gift from my husband. I think we're still dating at that point. He was like, I'm gonna make all the good impressions on her. And he did. I just can't use those chopsticks.
Look, it's a child killer. Yay!
I know. I'm actually surrounded by a bunch of random Freddy memorabilia in here right now, like, because I'm trying to redecorate, but then it's also like this fucking random Freddy's Dead CD over here.
That has the Goo Goo Dolls on it, does it not?
Yeah. That was actually the score, but the soundtrack's behind it. With the Goo Goo Dolls, which still, like, it still slaps. But I forgot to ask you, do you listen to anything while writing?
Yeah.
What do you listen to?
Depends on what I'm writing. So I don't have a problem with lyrics. You'll hear that from a lot of people that I can't concentrate if someone's singing words, and it's like, nah, I have no problem. I can zone out other voices. So it depends. I have a playlist for every one of my novels that I've written that is what I listen to. And the playlists do change as the novels go on. But so if I'm writing something big and violent, obviously you want to go into your post-hardcore and some of your modern metal. But if it's more of an action scene that's not particularly violent, it's just action, that's like the stuff that I grew up with, the older punk rock, especially the American LA stuff. Then there's a lot of classical. I mean, Aaron J. Kernice has a great composition called Second Symphony, or Symphony for Air, depending on how you bought it, which was written to accompany a BBC documentary about the burning of the oil fields of Iraq after the first Iraq War. Mm-hmm. It's some of the most intense music ever written. Amazing. Aaron J. Kernice, Second Symphony. Everyone needs to check it out. If you like things like Wagner's Ring trilogy, or Carmina Burana by Karl Orff, which I love both. You definitely want to check out Kernice because I think he's the best of the bunch, and he's still alive.
So can we get some playlists from you? I mean, just slap them on Twitter, like, where's my Snarl playlist, or where's my The Lifeless playlist?
Lifeless playlist. Well, that's all like freaking 90s, 2000s, early 2000s emo.
Okay, specifically who?
Things like early.
There's a Flyleaf on there?
No. I don't dislike Flyleaf with the original singer, not with the replacement. That's too weird for me. I like when the original singer would sing about like Columbine and tell that lie about the girls under the desk, so that didn't happen and stuff like that. That was fun. No, it would be stuff like the first Pack at the Disco record and some of the early Fall Out Boys, that stuff like that. I'm not a huge fan of any of that, but I did listen to my share of it.
Yeah.
I like a lot of music though, so.
Are you okay putting it out there publicly that you've got Fall Out Boy on this playlist?
On the Lifeless playlist? Yeah, well, it's true. You wouldn't find that in Bleak December or Divide by Zero.
No. I know. I'm just busting your
balls. They're all much darker. So there's like for actually I just finished a novella this week, and it's a pretty dark work, and so that was all like early Godflesh and early Pitch Shifter and all those kind of grindy industrial metal acts from the late 90s.
Sounds like it's about gears.
Yeah. Well, the book isn't, but it kind of has the feel of that.
Huh. I'm down. No, I didn't mean to bust your balls about Fall Out Boy. It's just, it's sort of like Fall Out Boy. It's along the same lines as Nickelback,
So this is the second time today I've been asked this question, Captain Halloween, so I'm going to put it up on screen. You read that to me, Sam.
Lauren, how would you react if Blumhouse wanted to adapt one of your books? Would you be worried they'd mess it up or happy for the exposure?
I would be ecstatic when I cashed the check for the rights. And I would absolutely cash that check, and I would not look backwards. Look, film and fiction are different. They're just different formats. They're different art forms. I'm not the guy to write your screenplay for you. I'm not the guy to direct your film. So if someone wants to come and adapt me, whether it's Blumhouse or anyone else, cool. I'll hope for the best, expect the worst, whatever comes out the other side.
And if worst comes to worst, you can always be like, I just wrote the story. I don't know what y'all want from me.
If the art community has taught us anything, it's that someone out there, no matter how bad of a film, will love it.
Oh, yeah.
So if people read the novel and loved the novel and didn't like the book, they're not going to blame me because they're going to say, well, I love the book. You just screwed up. But the people who love that movie, no matter what it is, maybe they come back to me, and maybe I get some credit for creating something that they, being the original creator of something that they ended up loving, even if they love the movie more than the book. Kind of a win-win.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're getting paid. Of course it's a win. I mean, you're getting paid for making art. That's the bigger win. You can get paid for, lots of things.
Well, most of it's legal.
What do you mean most? What is Bleak December's playlist? Because that's a dark story.
It sure is. So, I will tell you that for Bleak, I was going with a lot of very minimalist classical, very, very hard music to get close to. I can't even pronounce most of the artists' names because they're obviously mostly Japanese words, but I found that
You got some J metal going on over there? Is that what?
no, nothing like that. Just very, 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 very. It'd be like they recorded a chiming bell and then slow it down to the point where it'd just be digital noise and then add a ton of effects to it. There's really discordant, strange stuff because that story is all about not being able to trust your own eyes or ears or brain. So I needed something that kind of could get me to that place. I will tell. I've told this story before, and this is not something I suggest anyone out there do. So please do not take this as instruction. But there's an extremely dark scene in Bleak December. It's violent. It's nasty. It makes you question some characters. And I needed to put my head in a place for that because one of the things I wanted to do was to strip away all the glorification of violence for that scene because there's plenty of like fun violence in that book. Well, fun, but I wanted this to not be like that. I wanted it to feel like when you see a gazelle get taken down by a lion and then the lion eats it on a nature show. That coldness, that starkness, that just horrible reality. I wanted to capture that on the page. Tough thing. Like, how do you do that? So to put myself in the mindset, I just went to some of the darkest websites that I could find and started watching cartel decapitation videos and worse stuff than that even. There's some videos that you can find of actual real life serial killers doing their business. They're out there. And I didn't give myself a break. I made myself just sit down and consume and consume and consume. And I remember feeling cold. And if a brain can stutter, my brain was definitely stuttering. And it put me in a really, really, really dark place. And then I wrote that scene. And the interesting thing is that when I sent that out to the publisher, they knew that writing came from a different mindset, just a different cerebral place than the rest of the book, and they didn't know really what to make of it at first because it's such a dark place. So you can change your body chemistry and definitely your brain chemistry by what you consume. And I'm not a big fan of real death, but I did it as an experiment, and I love the scene for what it is, but it was a pretty brutal way to get into a mindset.
Did you have to power through it? Like, were there any parts where
I wanted to turn it off the entire time. The entire time.
Well, yeah, but writing the scene, were there any hiccups, or did you just nope, we're going now?
It's exactly 950 words if you count from the beginning of the scene to the end, and I just powered through it so I would not have to try and match the mindset because I knew that was just not going to happen. And it's hard to, a lot of writing is just constructing sentences and putting it together. But when you're actually composing, that's a different thing. And it was, you had to be in the right mindset to do it. And I'll never do it again. But I suspect, since Jake brought it up, that he's well aware of what I'm talking about.
Was it difficult to bounce back from after writing that scene? Like, how do you douse your brain with the happy chemicals to get your normal baseline again? Is it just like kitten videos for like 3 hours?
Nope. Got out of the house, walked the block twice. I mean, look, for the rest of the day, you kind of still feel weird guilt about having consumed this. I didn't consume it as entertainment. That's where I can kind of give myself an out. But I mean, it's weird because the stillness of real violence. I guess if anyone's ever been in a real fight, and I'm not talking about a high school tussle where it's like two kids full of testosterone just real, grab onto each other and kind of tussle a little bit. I'm talking about like a real fight where there's real stakes.
Yeah.
You understand that feels a whole lot different. Like your world's like shook by those events. Like real violence. If you've ever had your house or car broken into, I've had both. Not this house, but you also can you realize what victimization really can feel like. And certainly if you had worse things happen, that's victimization is the trauma associated with it is down to the DNA level, I believe. I think it affects you as a being. And I just wanted to be able to tap into that, and I didn't know any other way. And certainly, if I had been a writer in any other time period, I wouldn't have had the ability to do that. So, interesting experiment. Not something I recommend anyone do, and certainly not something I think any other writer really needs to do to get the same effect. I just needed to do it.
Is that the farthest you've gone for your writing?
As far as that stuff, yeah. So, I mean, I'm not listen, the friend of the show, Danielle Trusani, actually, went to the Alps to write about the Alps. I wouldn't do that, right? Because it's not in my DNA to do that. But her writing is very different. Her writing is very, very submersive. Not immersive, submersive. You go under the waterline with her and you fight for your air. And she puts you in that world. I'm not as concerned with that as she is. So she has to do that. I wouldn't go out and try and do anything in my books because, A, I wouldn't be able to write anything else because I'd be in prison.
Nonchalant sip. So, no, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if anyone has any questions in the chat, throw them out there. And Sam, if you see any questions you want to brought up on screen, I'll do it for you.
Let's see. Who's got a good question? Oh, don't forget to hit the like button. There we go. Like Jess.
Jess.
Wait, cable channel 11? That's Jess's channel, right?
Yeah. But I think I think our screens are not. Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
There
we go. I know that's not technically a question.
That's okay. It's probably better than a question.
Yeah. Let's see. Actually, it just jumped on me. Hey, Christian wants to know if any of your books will ever get an audiobook version, which is a very good question.
It is a very good question.
Make them super accessible.
So, all my previous publishers did not want to do an audiobook. Audiobooks are actually fairly expensive on the front side with no guarantee on the other side. But Fractured Mirror are actively talking about that. My rule is you don't want me to read the book out loud, that's for sure. So they'd have to hire someone.
There's some weird ASMR right there, man.
There's a very, very good chance. It probably wouldn't happen day and date with the paperback and hardcover. But there's a very good chance. Again, I think the ladies at Fractured Mirror have a really great game plan for this book. It sounds like they're all in, and I think they intend to support it better than I've ever been supported before, and it's a good feeling. I mean, my first publisher was a Canadian publisher who did a lot of great things for me, but when he was getting ready to leave that business, he definitely left a lot of balls just in the air from his juggling and walked away. And so I've always had a little bit of PTSD about publishers because of that experience. But yeah, I feel like I'm in really good hands, and an audiobook is something they're actively pursuing right now.
Excellent, as they should. I did see a very interesting question from MJ over here. Question for everyone in the chat room. Who would like to see the community members collaborate to create a horror screenplay? Also, MJ has a really great video on the faculty on Let's Talk for a Minute. Highly recommend everybody go and check that out too.
MJ is an amazing voice in the community who I think he brings a very specific perspective, but he also brings a warmth and a humanity that, again, outside of our community, I look at a lot of these horror channels and I'm like, oh my God, who the fuck is this for? Like, who are they targeting? Our community is a lot better about letting people be themselves, and I'm very, very proud of that. And MJ is a great example of that. MJ is MJ, man. And that's all any of us really can be, unless we're just going to be some, I don't know, teleprompter reading like drone, which is what I see in a lot of the larger self-contained YouTube channels.
I don't watch any of them.
I try not to. But they come
community members collaborating to create a horror screenplay. What do you think?
So I mean,
like maybe one of us writes a sentence and then the next person writes another sentence.
That sounds really dangerous to me. That sounds like the kind of thing that a crit group that doesn't actually write comes up with.
I don't think we'd get a screenplay out of it, but we'd get a fun story.
That could happen. I'm not a screenplay writer. I've made some half-assed attempts, and I'm just not. It's not how my brain works. I'm not a stage direction / tell the story through dialogue, and I use dialogue, but I use it in prose. And it's a very different animal. So I'm not the guy to write your screenplay, that's for sure. But I would love to see the community come together for any kind of art project, whether it's a screenplay or to write a comic. Maybe we have an artist out there that would illustrate it. I'd love to see all that. I'm sorry. Sorry.
Fun.
That's not what I meant.
I don't think that's what you meant.
There we go.
I think that's what you meant.
That's what I meant.
I think we should fund the screenplay from Robert Long.
I agree.
Let's crowdfund it. Make it happen.
Make it happen.
Also, I think Piz offered to read for your audiobook since he has such a lovely speaking voice.
Well, he should contact the ladies at Fractured Mirror and audition. I don't know what the process is on this.
Is the main character for Divide by Zero, is it like first person?
No.
Okay. So, damn, I guess there goes my chances of getting Piz to speak in a falsetto for like 5 hours or whatever.
I wouldn't say your chances have decreased at all. I think you get on one of those streams where he's drinking out of the vodka skull long enough, you could probably get that to happen easily.
Indeed. I'll file that away for later. Oh boy. Everybody's really just super talkative in the chat. It's really nice. I always love to see chat popping like this. Everybody's super cool.
Yeah, again, I've said it a million times, but I always think when we go on the air, it's like, is anyone going to care? Is anyone going to be out there? And then they are. I don't understand the process, but I'm not going to look at that gift horse in the mouth, mostly because I don't like horses.
I don't trust them. I'll eat one, but somebody's going to have to like shoot it and then cook it for me. I won't get near it. I mean, it depends. Like, horses are terrifying anyway, but what if it was like one of these things where it's like, not a monster horse, but what if it was just, a very aggressive horse? Like there was some weird virus that got loose and then infected the horses and made them like, not zombies, but just like really pissed off.
Like a horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close enough.
I don't know why I dislike horses so much. I never had a bad experience with a horse, but I just really dislike horses.
I think it's because my mom made me listen to Horse with No Name so many times when I was growing up.
So you have a Neil Young problem.
That is not Neil Young. That is America. Trust me.
No, you're right.
Are you Googling it?
No. Hands up. It is America.
Yeah. Like, why is it Neil Young problem? Out in the chat, there was a question about rereading books. Is there?
I've lost it because the chat's moving too quickly. Oh, Jake, there we go. Does anyone else ever reread books? Is that weird? It's not weird at all. I've probably read Brian Hodges' Prototype 8 times. I reread Lovecraft's very, very regularly. The Pressure by Jeff Strand I have read several times. It's one of those books I can go back. And, of course, William Peter Blatty, Legion. I don't think I go a month without opening that book and reading some of it, ever. Do I read it from cover to cover? No. Although I would love to go back and read it again all the way through. And I probably will. And I have probably read that book half a dozen times since I originally read it in the 80s. So no, I don't think that's unusual. I don't reread things I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
I think that seems self-explanatory, but I never go, maybe I was wrong about that book. Actually, there's one book I did, but I can't discuss that. But
Thanks
mostly,
for mentioning it and then saying you can't discuss it.
Absolutely. It's like a tease for a later episode.
Right?
Jamie had a horse step on her foot?
Fuck that. Hell no.
That horses killed Superman. So.
Oh my gosh. I think I know why I'm traumatized by horses. So, does anybody remember Rescue 911 that was on back in the day?
Yeah.
I remember seeing like part of an episode where a 4-year-old girl got kicked in the mouth by a horse. And I'm like, that scarred me for life because I was still in the single digits as far as whatever age I was. I was like, and I never wanted to be near a horse in my life.
Yeah, I actively want to swim with alligators, but I don't want to go anywhere near a horse. So.
How about riding an alligator or swimming with a horse?
I would absolutely ride an alligator.
Fuck yeah, just like a skateboard that goes really slow.
Yeah, well, and I mean, what's the worst that'll happen? If the alligator gets pissed off and eats you, you have a great obituary.
Well, I feel it's like one of those
Not a
things
great
where...
obituary for it to get stomped by a horse. It's not.
No, and it's also, I mean, you have a better chance of survival with an alligator. You're just going to get a chunk missing and they'll probably piss off. It's not going to, like, stomp on you to death.
No, you can completely see when the horse has just had enough that he's not leaving without you being dead.
Yeah. You're going to be missing some fingers or something.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And nobody's impressed when it's sort of like, oh, you got bit by a horse? Congratulations. Everybody's impressed when you get bit by an alligator.
Well, yeah, it's just like a shark bite. Like, yeah, it's going to suck that day, but it's a great story for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and you have a cool scar.
Yeah.
Also, if you got bit riding the alligator, that makes you even more badass.
If you got bit by a shark while riding an alligator. Anyway,
Damn.
Shannon, hey Shannon, by the way. Weird question, but have either of you watched the new American Horror Story? Because this season is about writers. I've never seen a frame of an American Horror Story of any variety.
That goes for me as well. It started, I missed the first season, then it kept going, and I was like, fuck. It's too late now.
Griffin has gotten stepped on by a horse as well.
Is that why? Is that what's bringing us everybody together?
I think
we need a poll. We need a poll about horse trauma. Oh God.
And Jake hates cactuses.
Or cacti. I mean, okay, I have another thing to complain about. The whole thing with cactuses, cacti. I remember how it used to be octopi. Octopuses is now correct.
Yeah, well, Pluto used to be a planet too, so whatever.
I was in my weird octopus phase when I was like obsessed with all things octopus because, you know, that's what happens when you imbibe something and then watch a bunch of Joe Rogan clips about octopuses. But then I found out octopuses is correct and I'm so mad about it. What are you people doing to horses to make them kick you? Probably taking all their ivermectin.
We've all had Sheriff Wendy's burgers.
Want to get us kicked off YouTube? Just say ivermectin.
There you go.
Oh, my husband says he's never had a bad horse encounter. Of course he hasn't. Motherfucker, you're 7 foot tall.
Yeah, he's intimidating the horses.
I know.
They're worried about him stepping on their feet.
It's for real. Yeah. Really, our horse is good for anything other than glue.
It's a pretty valuable thing.
Mm.
We should keep them in cages like chickens, though.
Yeah. But get them like real big and fat, and then their like legs will collapse under them, so they won't be able to move and bite us.
I don't think I'm doing a good job of selling this book right now. All the horse lovers are like, I ain't buying that book.
I don't know. People that ride horses and have horses and are obsessed with horses. I have questions. It was kind of like when we were watching See No wait, not See No Evil. Wait. The movie that you made us watch with the blind girl, Mia Farrow, and the horses. Was that?
See No Evil.
Okay. I was afraid I was referencing the Kane movie, and I was like, please don't fuck this up. No, so it's like when Mia Farrow wakes up in See No Evil near the end, that fucking lamp has a horse head. It's like her boyfriend needs to chill with all the horse stuff. Like, the inside, I know that you have a stable or whatever, but you don't need to have horse-themed everything. It's just a little weird. Oh. Jay has been spit on by 2 llamas.
Oh, well, yeah.
I want to know if this was at the same time. Like, was it a 3-way or what?
Wow. Llamas are not friendly. They really aren't. They're pretty gross animals. There's a llama farm that was next to my friend Jeffrey's house growing up, and they're pretty malicious animals. Still like them more than horses. And Christian wins the Dad Joke Award. So anyway, I just wanted to really come out here and celebrate the fact that they announced the book today. And I know that this channel is usually not about me talking about my own work. But on the other hand, it is about trying to get myself out there, provide you guys with something of value. Hopefully you come round back to me. And I'm not a Patreon guy. I'm not asking for money just to do this. I'll do this. But if you want a book, if you want a story that you've never experienced before, I wanted it out there. I wanted you to know you have the option. And I like money too.
We all like money.
Yeah.
But this is also much more fun than shilling for random horror sites. Sorry, that's another topic.
It is.
I'm just happy to hang out with y'all.
Can you read that out loud?
Pizzowell is starting a new channel called Visited by Viagra. I really would have thought it was part of his OnlyFans.
I think that's going to be a real thing. That's the scary part.
He talks about here on his Patreon, maybe.
Biz talks about that a lot. So.
Is walking around here like Bob from the Enzyte commercials.
Enzyte commercials. But anyway, I want to thank everyone out there. Let's run through some names of some people out here. Jess, Hayden, Marbsby, Jake Corinthos, the Trash Stash, Jay the Stingray, Jess Graham, Shannon, Big Crack Rock, Captain Halloween, Paulo, how are you out there? And I didn't see your name come up when you posted this comment. How'd that happen? Paulo's like in real life friend. He's pretty amazing. Unless someone simply stole his name, which is possible.
Like the Hollow Man.
It could be. MJ. Who else is out there? Jess Graham. Jamie. Piz. Christian. And everyone out there who watched but didn't speak up. Just want to say thank you. In, I guess, about a year and a month, we'll probably do this again with a book in hand. And in the meantime, if you're interested in any older books, whether it's Blue Eel, Eternal Unrest, Snarl, or Lifeless. They're out there. They're available again. You don't have to pay some ridiculous price from a scalper online. They're good-looking editions. They're definitely worth your time if you so desire. Oh, and Crispin Glover was here. Thank you, Big Crack Rock, for reminding us. How could we forget? Sam, any final words?
Woo-hoo.
Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff.
Either way.
So if you like,
Nature.
Take a look.
burn my skin, futzed around in the water, driftwood all over the beach, and